The manila folder felt like ice in Janelle Brooks' hands. She stood outside consultation room 4 at Seattle Grace Medical Center, her white coat crisp, her stethoscope cold against her collarbone. Through the small window in the door, she could see a man sitting in the patient chair, his back to her. Something about the way he held his shoulders made her stomach twist. She opened the file. Patient name, Blake Morrison. Age 35. Diagnosis, severe aortic valve stenosis with complications. The folder slipped from her fingers. Papers scattered across the polished hospital floor like autumn leaves. Her knees went weak. A passing nurse reached out to steady her. "Dr. Brooks, are you okay?" Janelle couldn't speak. Blake Morrison. The name she had trained herself not to think about for 6 years. The man who had promised her forever and then walked away when she needed him most. The man who divorced her because doctors said she might not be able to have children. The man who didn't know that 2 weeks after their divorce was finalized, she discovered she was pregnant. "I'm fine," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. She bent down to gather the scattered papers, her hands shaking so badly that the nurse knelt to help her. "This is the Morrison case, right? The tech billionaire?" "Girl, I heard he's gorgeous," the nurse said, handing her the last sheet. Gorgeous. Yes, Blake had always been that. Gorgeous and charming and completely willing to throw away their love when things got difficult. Janelle stood, straightened her coat and took 3 deep breaths. She was a professional. She had performed hundreds of surgeries. She had rebuilt her entire life from the ground up. She could walk into that room and face the man who had broken her heart. She pushed open the door. Blake turned at the sound, and their eyes met for the first time in 6 years. His face went pale. He stood up so quickly that his chair scraped loudly against the floor. "Janelle." Her name on his lips felt like a wound reopening. He looked older, more tired. There were lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. His dark hair had threads of silver at the temples. But his eyes, those deep brown eyes, were exactly the same. "Mr. Morrison," she said, forcing her voice to remain steady and professional. "Please sit down. You're my doctor? They didn't tell me." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture she remembered too well. "Janelle, I can't believe this. You look amazing." She didn't want his compliments. She didn't want to remember how those words used to make her feel. She moved to the desk and sat down, putting the physical barrier between them. "I'm Dr. Brooks now," she said coolly. "I've reviewed your file. Your condition is serious. You need surgery within the next 2 weeks, or you're looking at heart failure." Blake sat back down slowly, his eyes never leaving her face. "How long have you been back in Seattle?" "That's not relevant to your medical care." She opened the folder again, focusing on the words instead of the way her heart was racing. "You have severe aortic stenosis. The valve that controls blood flow from your heart to the rest of your body is narrowing. You're experiencing chest pain, shortness of breath, and fatigue. Is that correct?" "Yes." His voice was quiet now. "Janelle, Dr. Brooks, I need to talk to you about—" "Your surgery," she interrupted. "That's all we need to discuss. The procedure is complex. I'll need to replace your aortic valve. Recovery time is approximately 6 weeks. There are risks involved, including stroke, infection, and in rare cases, death." "I don't care about the risks." Blake leaned forward, his hands gripping the arms of his chair. "Please, can we just talk? For 5 minutes?" "No." The word came out harder than she intended. She saw him flinch, and a small part of her felt satisfied. Good. Let him feel a fraction of the pain he had caused her. "I'm your best option for this surgery," Janelle continued, her voice returning to its professional tone. "But if you'd prefer another surgeon, I can recommend Dr. Stevens at County General. He's competent, though his success rate is slightly lower than mine." "I don't want another surgeon." Blake's voice was intense now. "If you're the best, then I want you. I trust you." Janelle almost laughed at that. Trust. He had the nerve to talk about trust. But she swallowed the bitter response and simply nodded. "Then we'll schedule your surgery for next Thursday. My nurse will give you preoperative instructions. You'll need to stop taking any blood thinners, and you can't eat or drink anything after midnight the night before." She stood up, signaling the end of the consultation. "Do you have any questions about the procedure itself?" Blake stood too, moving closer to the desk. "Why did you come back to Seattle? I thought you moved to Boston." "I did. I completed my residency and fellowship there. I was offered the head of cardiothoracic surgery position here. It was too good to refuse." She met his eyes directly. "I accept good opportunities when they're offered to me, Mr. Morrison. I've learned not to let anything hold me back." The emphasis on the last sentence wasn't subtle, and she saw understanding flash across his face. He opened his mouth to say something, but she was already moving toward the door. My office will contact you with the final details. Make sure you have someone to drive you home after the initial consultation tests tomorrow. Janelle, please. She paused at the door but didn't turn around. What? I'm sorry. For everything. I was wrong. 6 years ago those words might have meant something. 6 years ago she would have crumbled and forgiven him. But 6 years had changed her. She had cried more tears than she thought possible. She had given birth alone, terrified and heartbroken. She had worked double shifts while pregnant, determined to finish her residency. She had held her newborn twins in her arms and promised them she would be strong enough for all three of them. Your apology is noted, she said without emotion. But it doesn't change anything. I'll see you tomorrow for your tests, Mr. Morrison. Try to get some rest tonight. Your heart needs it. She walked out without looking back, leaving Blake standing alone in the consultation room. Her legs carried her down the hallway on autopilot. She made it to the staff bathroom before the shaking started. She gripped the edge of the sink and looked at her reflection in the mirror. She was still here. Still standing. She had survived losing Blake once before, and she could survive seeing him again. She had to. Because in 2 hours she needed to pick up Tyler and Tessa from school, and they needed their mother to be strong and whole and happy. But right now, alone in this bathroom, she let herself feel the weight of the past crashing into her present. She had known returning to Seattle was risky. She had known there was a chance she might run into Blake. But she never imagined it would be like this. She never imagined she would hold his life in her hands. Her phone buzzed. A text from her sister, Tamara. Don't forget Tyler has soccer practice at 4. Tessa wants to know if you can help with her science project tonight. Normal life. Her real life. The life she had built without Blake Morrison. She took a deep breath, splashed cold water on her face and straightened her shoulders. She was Dr. Janelle Brooks, one of the best heart surgeons in the country. She had survived worse than an uncomfortable consultation with her ex-husband. She could do this. Have you ever had to face someone who hurt you deeply but you had to act professional? What would you do if you held your worst heartbreak's life in your hands? Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for more chapters of this emotional journey. Will Janelle be able to stay detached, or will old feelings resurface? 6 years earlier. Janelle sat in the fertility specialist's office, Blake's hand warm in hers. She was 26 years old, newly married and terrified. They had been trying to conceive for 2 years, and every negative pregnancy test felt like another small failure. The tests show that you have polycystic ovary syndrome, Dr. Anderson said gently. It's not that you can't get pregnant, Mrs. Morrison. It just might take longer, and we may need to help the process along with medication or other interventions. But it's possible? Janelle asked, hope blooming in her chest. We can still have children? Absolutely. Pose is very manageable. Many women with this condition have successful pregnancies. Blake squeezed her hand. See? Everything's going to be fine. They left the office that day feeling hopeful. Blake took her to her favorite restaurant, the little Italian place in Capitol Hill where he had proposed a year earlier. They talked about baby names and what color to paint the nursery. Janelle remembered feeling so loved, so safe. That feeling lasted exactly 1 week. Blake's mother, Eleanor Morrison, came to dinner on Sunday. Janelle had made pot roast, Eleanor's favorite, and spent hours making sure everything was perfect. Eleanor had never been warm to her, but Janelle kept trying. So, I heard you saw a fertility doctor, Eleanor said halfway through the meal, her voice casual but her eyes sharp. Janelle set down her fork. Blake, you told her? She's my mother, Blake said, looking uncomfortable. She was concerned. The doctor said everything is manageable, Janelle said, directing her words to Eleanor. We're very optimistic. Eleanor took a sip of her wine. Manageable. That's an interesting word. Blake, your father and I, we had you within a year of marriage. Your brother came 2 years later. That's what I call manageable. Mother, Blake said, a warning in his tone. I'm just saying, darling, that Morrison men have a legacy to uphold. Your grandfather built this company from nothing. Your father expanded it. And you've taken it to new heights. But what's the point of all that success if there's no one to pass it on to? Janelle felt her face getting hot. We will have children. The doctor said so. Did she guarantee it? Eleanor set down her wine glass with a soft click. Because from what I understand, this condition of yours makes pregnancy difficult. Not impossible but difficult. And at your age, every year counts. I'm 26, Janelle said, trying to keep her voice steady. We have time. Do you? Eleanor turned to her son. Blake, you're 30 years old. By the time your father was your age, he had 2 sons. Don't you want that? A son to teach, to guide into the business. Of course I do, Blake said quietly. Those 4 words hit Janelle like a slap. Of course he did. Not, we'll have children when it's right, or, I love Janelle and we'll figure this out together. Just, of course I do, as if Janelle's body was failing some test she hadn't known she was taking. After Eleanor left, Janelle tried to talk to Blake about it. Your mother was out of line tonight. She's just worried about the family legacy. You know how she is. She made me feel like I'm broken. Blake pulled her into his arms. You're not broken. We'll figure this out. I love you. But the cracks had started to form. Over the next 6 months, those cracks became chasms. Eleanor's comments became more frequent and more pointed. Blake started working later, coming home after Janelle was already asleep. When they did talk, it was about anything except children. Janelle threw herself into her medical residency, working brutal shifts at the hospital. At least there she felt competent and needed. At least there she wasn't constantly reminded of what her body couldn't do. The breaking point came on their 3rd anniversary. Janelle had planned a romantic evening. She'd bought a new emerald green dress, made reservations at the restaurant where they'd had their first date, and bought him an expensive watch he'd been eyeing for months. Blake came home at 9 o'clock, 3 hours after their reservation. I'm sorry, he said, loosening his tie. Greg needed help with the quarterly projections. I lost track of time. Janelle stood in the kitchen in her green dress, the dinner she'd cooked now cold. You forgot our anniversary. No, I didn't. I just got caught up at work. He pulled a small box from his pocket. See? I got you something. She opened it. Diamond earrings. Beautiful, expensive, and completely impersonal. She could tell he'd had his secretary buy them. Blake, we need to talk. He sighed. Can it wait? I'm exhausted. No. It can't wait. She followed him into the living room. What's happening to us? You're never home. When you are home, you barely talk to me. Your mother calls me 3 times a week to remind me that I haven't given her grandchildren. I'm trying so hard and I feel like I'm doing it alone. You're being dramatic. Blake poured himself a scotch. I'm building a company. That takes time and energy. And my mother, you know she means well. She called me defective last week. To my face. And you didn't say anything. I talked to her about it later. Later doesn't matter, Blake. You needed to defend me in the moment. You needed to tell her that I'm your wife and you love me and that's all that matters. Blake was quiet for a long moment. Then he said the words that began the end. But she's not wrong, is she? Janelle felt like the floor had disappeared beneath her. What did you just say? We've been trying for 2 years, Janelle. 2 years. And nothing. The doctors say you might not be able to conceive naturally. We might need expensive treatments, IVF, surrogates. And even then, there's no guarantee. So what are you saying? He wouldn't meet her eyes. I'm saying maybe this isn't working. Our marriage isn't working because I might have trouble getting pregnant? That's what you're saying. Don't twist my words. Then untwist them for me, Blake. Say it clearly. He set down his glass. I need to air, Janelle. My company, my family legacy, it all needs someone to pass it on to. I can't wait years and years for something that might never happen. I am not just an incubator. Her voice shook with rage and hurt. I am your wife. I am a person. I am more than my ability to have children. I know that. But what? But I'm not worth it if I can't give you a baby? That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? Because right now it sounds like you want a divorce. Blake was silent. And in that silence, Janelle's world collapsed. He filed for divorce 2 weeks later. His lawyers were efficient and cold. They offered her a generous settlement, which she refused. She didn't want his money. She didn't want anything that reminded her of how easily he had discarded her. She moved out of their beautiful house in Magnolia and into a tiny apartment in Fremont. She cried for 3 days straight. Then she got up, dried her tears and went to work. It was during her shift at the hospital, 1 month after the divorce was finalized, that she felt the first wave of nausea. At first she thought it was stress or a stomach bug. Then she missed her period. Then she missed another one. The pregnancy test showed 2 pink lines. She took 4 more tests, unable to believe it. All positive. She was pregnant. After 2 years of trying, after Blake had left her because she supposedly couldn't conceive, she was carrying his child. She called his office the next day, but his secretary said he was unavailable. She called again the next week. Same response. She sent an email. No reply. Finally, she drove to his office building, determined to tell him face to face. The security guard stopped her at the lobby. I'm sorry, ma'am, but Mr. Morrison has asked that you not be allowed up. I just need 5 minutes. It's important. I have my orders. She left, humiliated and heartbroken. She tried one more time, sending a letter via certified mail. I need to talk to you. It's urgent. Please call me. 3 days later, she received a letter from his lawyers. A cease and desist order. If she continued to contact Blake Morrison, they would pursue a restraining order for harassment. That's when Janelle made her decision. She would raise this baby alone. Blake had made it clear he didn't want her in his life. He had left her when she needed him most. He didn't deserve to know about this child. She accepted a residency position in Boston and moved across the country. She was 3 months pregnant, terrified, and alone. But she was also determined. She would finish her medical training. She would be a good mother. She would build a life that didn't need Blake Morrison. At her 20-week ultrasound, the technician smiled at her. Do you want to know what you're having? Yes, please. It looks like you're having twins. A boy and a girl. Congratulations. Twins. The word hit her like a bolt of joy mixed with terror. 2 babies. Double the love, double the responsibility, double the challenge. But also double the reason to succeed. She gave birth to Tyler and Tessa on a snowy February morning in Boston. They were perfect. Tiny and wrinkled and absolutely perfect. Tyler had Blake's nose. Tessa had his eyes. Looking at them hurt and healed her at the same time. She finished her residency with 2 toddlers and no sleep. She completed her fellowship while juggling day care and night shifts. She became one of the best cardiac surgeons on the East Coast while reading bedtime stories and attending preschool plays. And she never contacted Blake again. If he wanted nothing to do with her, then he would have nothing to do with their children. She wouldn't give him the chance to reject them the way he had rejected her. Now, 6 years later, she was back in Seattle. The head of cardiothoracic surgery position had been too good to refuse. The salary would secure her children's future. The reputation would cement her career. And she had convinced herself that Seattle was big enough that she would never run into Blake. She had been wrong. The morning after seeing Blake, Janelle woke at 5 a.m. to the sound of her alarm. For a moment, she lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling of her new apartment. The events of yesterday felt surreal. Had she really stood in a consultation room with Blake Morrison? Had she really agreed to perform his surgery? A small hand patted her face. Mommy, are you awake? She turned to see Tessa's face inches from hers, those brown eyes so much like Blake's staring at her intently. Tessa had crawled into her bed sometime during the night, a habit Janelle had tried and failed to break. I'm awake, baby. She pulled her daughter close and kissed her forehead. Did you sleep okay? I had a dream about flying. I was a bird. A blue one. With sparkles. Janelle smiled. Tessa's imagination was endless. That sounds beautiful. Where's your brother? Still sleeping. Can we have pancakes? Pancakes it is. In the kitchen, Janelle mixed batter while Tessa sat at the counter, swinging her legs and chattering about her day ahead. Tyler appeared 20 minutes later, his hair sticking up in every direction, wearing his favorite red pajamas. Is it Saturday? He asked hopefully. No, buddy. It's Tuesday. You have school. Tyler groaned dramatically. He was in kindergarten and had decided that school was a necessary evil that interfered with his true passion, building things. Their apartment was filled with Lego creations, wooden block towers, and elaborate structures made from cardboard boxes. But I want to finish my castle, he protested. You can finish it after school. I promise. Janelle set a plate of pancakes in front of him. Eat up. Aunt Tamara is picking you guys up today. Why can't you pick us up? Tessa asked. I have to work late today. Remember, Mommy has important surgeries at the hospital. Are you going to fix someone's heart? Tyler asked, syrup already dripping down his chin. Yes, I am. That's so cool, he said with genuine awe. When I grow up, I'm going to fix hearts too. Or build rocket ships. I haven't decided yet. Janelle felt a surge of love so intense it almost hurt. These 2 beautiful, smart, funny children were her entire world. Everything she had survived, every sacrifice she had made, was worth it for moments like this. After breakfast, she got them dressed and ready for school. Tessa insisted on wearing her bright blue dress with the stars on it. Tyler refused to wear anything except his red and green striped shirt. Janelle had learned to pick her battles. She dropped them off at Evergreen Elementary at 7:45, kissing them both goodbye and watching them run to their classroom. Tyler's backpack was almost as big as he was. Tessa stopped at the door to wave one more time. Then Janelle got in her car and allowed herself to think about what lay ahead. Blake's surgery was scheduled for Thursday, 3 days away. Before that, he had a full day of preoperative testing today. She would need to see him again, review his results, and finalize the surgical plan. Her phone rang as she pulled out of the school parking lot. The caller ID showed Patricia Hughes, her mentor and the woman who had saved her career more times than she could count. "Good morning, Dr. Hughes." "Janelle, I heard about your new patient." Patricia's voice was warm but concerned. "Are you okay?" News traveled fast in the medical community. Janelle shouldn't have been surprised. "I'm fine. It's just another surgery." "A surgery on your ex-husband who you haven't seen in 6 years? That's not just another surgery." Janelle sighed. "I can handle it, Patricia. I'm a professional." "I know you are. You're one of the best surgeons I've ever trained. But you're also human. It's okay to feel complicated emotions about this. What I feel doesn't matter. Blake has a serious heart condition. He needs surgery. I'm the best person to do it. End of story." "And afterward? When the surgery is done and you've saved his life, what then?" That was the question Janelle had been avoiding. "Then he goes back to his life and I go back to mine. We don't need to interact beyond this medical situation." Patricia was quiet for a moment. "Has he asked about the twins?" "He doesn't know about them." "Janelle?" "He gave up the right to know when he divorced me and sent his lawyers after me. I tried to tell him, Patricia. You know I did. He made it clear he wanted nothing to do with me. I'm not judging you. I'm just asking, are you prepared for what might happen? Seattle is smaller than Boston. Eventually he might see you with the kids. He might put 2 and 2 together. I'll deal with that if it happens. Right now, I need to focus on the surgery." They talked for a few more minutes before hanging up. Patricia had been more than a mentor during Janelle's residency in Boston. When Janelle showed up pregnant and alone, Patricia had taken her under her wing. She helped Janelle find affordable childcare. She adjusted Janelle's schedule when possible. She was at the hospital when Janelle gave birth, holding her hand through contractions since there was no one else. If Patricia was concerned about this situation with Blake, then maybe Janelle should be more worried than she was admitting. She arrived at the hospital at 8:30 and immediately dove into work. She had 3 consultations, 2 post-op checks and afternoon rounds. At 1 o'clock, Blake was scheduled for his preoperative testing. Janelle managed to avoid thinking about him for most of the morning. She reviewed files, consulted with other doctors and checked on her recovering patients. But at 12:45 her assistant called. "Dr. Brooks, Mr. Morrison is here for his tests. Send him to testing suite B. I'll review the results later." "He's asking to see you first." Of course he was. Janelle closed her eyes briefly. "Fine. Tell him I'll be there in 5 minutes." She found Blake in the waiting area, looking uncomfortable in the hospital gown and slippers. Someone, probably a nurse, had clearly explained that he couldn't wear his expensive suit for the tests. "Mr. Morrison," she said coolly. "Any questions before we begin?" He stood up. "Can we talk privately?" "My office. 5 minutes. That's all you get." She led him down the hallway to her small but tidy office. She sat behind her desk. He sat in the patient chair. The role reversal from yesterday was not lost on either of them. "I couldn't sleep last night," Blake began. "I kept thinking about seeing you. About everything that happened between us. That's in the past. We need to focus on your health." "But it's not in the past for me, Janelle. It's right here, right now. You're right here. And I need you to know that I regret everything. Walking away from you was the biggest mistake of my life." Janelle kept her face neutral. "Blake, this isn't appropriate. I'm your doctor. You're also my ex-wife. The woman I loved. The woman I hurt." He leaned forward, his voice intense. "I've thought about you every day for 6 years. I've wondered where you were, what you were doing, if you were happy. I tried to find you, but you disappeared." "I didn't disappear. I left. There's a difference. I deserve that. I deserve a lot worse. But please just let me say this. I was wrong. My mother was wrong. I was stupid and weak and I chose all the wrong things. I chose business over love. I chose some imaginary legacy over the woman who actually mattered. And I've regretted it every single day since." Janelle felt old anger rising in her chest. "You regretted it? You had lawyers send me a cease and desist letter when I tried to contact you after the divorce." Blake looked confused. "What? I never did that. I tried to call you after the divorce, but your number was disconnected. Your lawyer sent me a letter threatening me with a restraining order if I contacted you again. Janelle, I swear to you I never authorized that. I didn't even know they contacted you. Well, they did. So I stopped trying." She stood up, signaling the conversation was over. "This discussion is pointless. What happened 6 years ago is done. Right now we have a doctor-patient relationship, and that's all we'll ever have. Now you need to go to your test. I have other patients to see." "When this is over," Blake said quietly, "when you fixed my heart, will you at least let me take you to dinner? No pressure, no expectations. Just two old friends having a meal?" Every instinct told Janelle to say no. To keep the walls up, to protect herself. But she remembered her own advice to Tyler and Tessa. When someone offers kindness, we accept it with grace. She couldn't teach her children one thing and do another. "Let's get through the surgery first," she said. "Then we'll see." It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no. Blake seemed to understand this. He nodded and left her office without another word. Janelle sat back down and put her head in her hands. 3 more days until the surgery. 3 more days of maintaining professional distance. 3 more days of pretending that seeing Blake Morrison didn't affect her at all. Her phone buzzed with a text from Tamara. "Picked up the munchkins from school. Tyler wants McDonald's." "That cool?" Janelle smiled. The simple question about fast food grounded her. This was real. Tyler and Tessa were real. Blake and his regrets were just noise. "McDonald's is fine," she texted back. "I'll be home by 7. Love you." She had survived losing Blake once. She had built a whole new life, a better life. One surgery wouldn't change that. She would fix his heart because that's what doctors do. And then she would go home to her children, her real family, the people who actually mattered. Blake Morrison was just a patient. That's all he would ever be again. Thursday morning arrived with gray clouds and the promise of rain. Janelle had been awake since 4 a.m., mentally reviewing every step of Blake's surgery. She had performed this procedure dozens of times, but this felt different. The patient on the table today would be the man she once loved, the man who had shattered her heart, the father of her children who didn't know they existed. She had arranged for Tamara to keep Tyler and Tessa overnight. They thought it was a sleepover with their aunt. They didn't know their mother would be spending 8 hours with her hands inside their father's chest, holding his life together. At the hospital, Janelle changed into her surgical scrubs and made her way to pre-op. Blake's surgery was scheduled for 7 a.m. It was now 6:15. She found him lying on a gurney, already prepped and waiting. The anesthesiologist, Dr. Ramon Torres, was checking Blake's 4. "Good morning, Mr. Morrison," Janelle said, keeping her voice professional and calm. "How are you feeling?" "Terrified," Blake admitted. His voice was rough and she could see the fear in his eyes. "Is that normal?" "Completely normal. Surgery is scary. But you're in good hands." She reviewed his chart one more time. "Dr. Torres is going to give you something to relax in a few minutes. You'll be asleep before you know it. When you wake up, this will all be over." "Janelle." He reached out and caught her hand. "If something goes wrong." "Nothing is going to go wrong. But if it does, I need you to know something. I need you to know that these past 6 years I've been empty. I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me. I was a coward and a fool. If I don't wake up from this—" "You're going to wake up," she interrupted firmly. She couldn't stand here and listen to deathbed confessions. She couldn't let her professional composure crack. "I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" He squeezed her hand. "I've always trusted you. Even when I was too stupid to show it." Dr. Torres cleared his throat gently. "Dr. Brooks, we should move him to the OR." Janelle pulled her hand away and stepped back. "I'll see you in there, Mr. Morrison. Just breathe. Let the medicine do its work. I've got you." In the operating room, Janelle's surgical team was already assembled. There was Dr. Karen Phillips, her second-in-command, along with 2 surgical residents, 3 nurses, and the anesthesiology team. Everyone knew this was a high-profile case. The billionaire CEO on the table meant media attention, but more importantly, it was a complex surgery that required absolute precision. "Okay, team," Janelle said as they wheeled Blake in. "Standard aortic valve replacement, but with complications due to calcification and irregular tissue. I'm estimating 7 to 8 hours. Dr. Phillips, you'll assist with valve placement. Residents, watch and learn. This is a textbook case of severe stenosis." They positioned Blake on the table and Dr. Torres began the anesthesia. Janelle watched the monitors as Blake's consciousness slipped away. His last words before going under were quiet, barely audible, but Janelle heard them. "Thank you. Scalpel, Janelle said. The first incision was always the hardest. Once she made that cut, there was no going back. Her hands, thankfully, were rock steady. Years of training and experience took over. Blake Morrison wasn't her ex-husband on this table. He was a patient, a human heart that needed fixing, a life that depended on her skill. She worked systematically, opening the chest cavity, exposing the heart. Even after hundreds of surgeries, the sight of a beating heart never failed to move her. This intricate organ, barely the size of a fist, kept entire bodies alive. It was beautiful and terrifying. Calcification is worse than the scans showed, she noted aloud. We're going to need to be extra careful removing the damaged valve. Dr. Phillips, suction here. Hours passed. Janelle didn't think about time. She didn't think about Blake as a person. She thought only about the next suture, the next cut, the next step in the procedure. The surgical suite was quiet except for the beeping of monitors and her calm, steady instructions. Valve is out, she announced. How's his pressure? Stable, Dr. Torres replied. Heart rate good. You're doing great, Dr. Brooks. The replacement valve went in smoothly. Janelle worked with careful precision, checking each suture twice. This was the most critical part. One mistake, one loose stitch, and Blake could suffer complications that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Almost there, she murmured. Just a few more. Then the monitor beeped loudly. Blake's heart rate spiked suddenly. Arrhythmia, Dr. Torres said, his voice sharp. He's going into V-fib. Janelle's stomach dropped, but her hands didn't shake. Paddles? Now. A nurse slapped the defibrillator paddles into her hands. Janelle positioned them carefully over Blake's heart. Clear. Blake's body jerked as electricity shot through him. The monitor continued its frantic beeping. Again, Janelle said. Clear. Another jolt. The monitor shrieked. Come on, Janelle whispered. Come on, Blake. Don't you dare die on me. Third time, Dr. Torres said, his voice tense. Clear. This time, the monitor's beeping returned to normal. Blake's heart rate stabilized. Janelle felt sweat rolling down her back beneath her surgical gown. She handed the paddles back to the nurse and took a deep breath. That was close, Dr. Phillips said quietly. Too close. Janelle looked at the monitors, then back at Blake's exposed heart. Let's finish this. I want him off this table alive. The rest of the surgery proceeded without incident. Janelle closed the chest cavity, layer by layer, with meticulous care. When she finally stepped back and removed her gloves, 8.5 hours had passed. Good work, everyone, she said to her team. Dr. Torres, let's get him to recovery. I want continuous monitoring for the next 24 hours. Call me if anything changes, no matter how small. Will do, Dr. Brooks. Excellent work today. You saved his life. In the locker room, Janelle finally allowed herself to sit down. Her legs felt like rubber. Her hands, which had been steady throughout the surgery, now shook uncontrollably. She put her head between her knees and took deep, shuddering breaths. She had almost lost him. For a few terrifying seconds, Blake's heart had stopped, and she had felt a panic that went beyond professional concern. The thought of telling Tyler and Tessa that their father had died on her operating table, even if they didn't know he was their father, had been unbearable. But he was alive. She had brought him back. He would recover. Her phone buzzed with a text from Tamara. Kids are asking about you. Tyler made you a card. It says, you're the best heart fixer in the world. Tessa drew you a picture of hearts with wings. They miss you. Janelle felt tears prick her eyes. She typed back, tell them I love them and I'll see them tomorrow. Thank you for being there for us. Tamara responded immediately, always. That's what family does. We show up. Speaking of which, how did the surgery go? It went fine. Patient is stable. Just fine? Girl, you saved someone's life today. That's more than fine. Janelle smiled despite her exhaustion. Tamara always knew how to put things in perspective. You're right. Okay, it went well. I'm good at my job. You're amazing at your job. Now go home, take a hot bath and get some sleep. You've earned it. Janelle changed back into her regular clothes and stopped by recovery to check on Blake one more time. He was still unconscious, breathing with the help of a ventilator. His vitals were good. The surgery had been successful. She stood by his bedside for a moment, watching the steady rise and fall of his chest. He looked vulnerable like this, all his usual confidence stripped away. She thought about the man he used to be, the man she had loved. She thought about the man he had become, the one who had walked away. And she thought about who he might be now, 6 years later. People changed. She had certainly changed. Was it possible that Blake had too? You're going to be okay, she whispered. But don't read too much into that. I do this for any patient. It's my job to save lives, even when those lives belong to people who hurt me. She turned to leave, then paused at the door. And Blake? When you wake up, we really need to talk. Because this can't keep being complicated. I've built a good life, and I won't let you or anyone else mess that up. The next morning, Blake woke up groggy and confused. Janelle was doing her rounds when she stopped by his room. He was sitting up slightly, the ventilator removed, breathing on his own. "Welcome back," she said, checking his monitors. "How do you feel?" "Like I got hit by a truck." His voice was raspy from the breathing tube. "Did everything go okay?" "Your surgery was successful. We replaced your aortic valve. You had a brief episode of arrhythmia during the procedure, but we stabilized you. Your heart is functioning well now." She made notes on his chart. "You'll need to stay in the hospital for about a week for observation. Then you'll go home with strict instructions for recovery. You saved my life. I did my job. Janelle." He reached for her hand, but she moved it away, pretending to adjust his fore. "Please don't shut me out. I know I don't deserve anything from you, but—" "Blake, listen to me." She sat down in the chair beside his bed. "What you had was serious. You could have died. The fact that you're alive and talking to me right now is good. But it doesn't change our past. It doesn't make things okay between us. I know that. I'm not asking for forgiveness or for us to get back together. I'm just asking for a chance to make things right. However I can." Janelle studied his face. He looked sincere, but she had learned the hard way that sincerity could be deceiving. "What does making things right look like to you?" "I don't know yet. But I want to try. Will you let me try?" She thought about her children at home with Tamara. She thought about the life she had built without him. She thought about all the nights she had cried herself to sleep, all the time she had looked at Tyler and Tessa and wondered if she should tell Blake the truth. "One dinner," she said finally. "When you're recovered and out of the hospital, we can have dinner. You can say whatever you need to say. But that's it, Blake. One dinner, and then we go our separate ways." His face lit up with something like hope. "Thank you. That's all I'm asking for. One chance." She stood up. "Rest now. I'll check on you tomorrow during rounds." As she left his room, Janelle wondered if she was making a mistake. But she had learned from her children that kindness mattered, that hope mattered, that giving people second chances sometimes led to beautiful things. Blake Morrison had broken her heart once. She wouldn't let him do it again. But maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to be civil to each other. Seattle was a big city, but not big enough to avoid each other forever. And someday, whether she wanted to or not, she would have to tell him about Tyler and Tessa. Because they deserved to know their father, even if their father had once been too foolish to appreciate what he had. But that conversation was for another day. For now, she had other patients to see, other lives to save, and two beautiful children waiting for their mother to come home. Blake's recovery progressed smoothly over the next 5 days. Janelle checked on him during her daily rounds, keeping their interactions professional and brief. He tried to engage her in conversation each time, but she deflected with medical talk and efficiency. Still, she couldn't help noticing the changes in him. The Blake she remembered had been confident to the point of arrogance. This Blake was quieter, more thoughtful. He thanked every nurse who helped him. He asked about her day, really listening when she gave vague answers. He didn't complain about the hospital food or the uncomfortable bed. It was as if losing his marriage and nearly losing his life had softened him somehow. On Tuesday afternoon, Janelle arrived home to find her apartment transformed into what appeared to be a cardboard city. Tyler had spent his afternoon building an elaborate network of buildings, roads, and bridges that covered most of the living room floor. "Mommy, look," he shouted when she walked in. "It's New York City. See, this is the Empire State Building and this is Central Park and these are all the taxis." Janelle carefully stepped over a cardboard taxi. "This is incredible, buddy. You worked really hard on this." "Aunt Tamara helped me with the tape," he admitted. Tamara emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. She was 28, 4 years younger than Janelle, with the same warm brown eyes and bright smile. "Don't let him fool you. I helped with the tape. He designed the whole thing himself. The kid's a genius." "Where's Tessa?" "In her room working on her science project. She's determined to build a volcano that actually erupts." Janelle found her daughter surrounded by baking soda, vinegar, food coloring, and a questionable amount of glitter. Tessa's bright blue dress had several new stains, but her face was lit up with excitement. "Mommy, watch this." She poured vinegar into her papier-mâché volcano. Red foam bubbled up and over the sides, spilling onto the newspaper-covered floor. It's an eruption. That's amazing, sweet girl. I'm so proud of you. After the children were fed, bathed, and finally asleep, Janelle and Tamara sat in the kitchen with mugs of tea. This was their routine, these quiet moments after the chaos of bedtime, when they could actually talk. So, Tamara said, cradling her mug, "Want to tell me what's really going on? You've been distracted all week. Just busy at work." "Janelle, I'm your sister. I know when you're lying." Tamara set down her mug. "Is this about that patient? The big surgery you did?" Janelle sighed. There was no point hiding it. Tamara would find out eventually. The patient was Blake. Tamara's eyes went wide. Blake? Your ex-husband Blake. That's the one. Oh my God. Are you serious? What are the odds? I don't know, but they're apparently not zero. Janelle rubbed her tired eyes. He needed heart surgery. I'm the best cardiac surgeon in the region. So I operated on him. How did that go? Were you okay? Professionally, it went fine. The surgery was successful. Emotionally, Janelle trailed off. I don't know. It's complicated. Did you tell him? Janelle knew what Tamara was really asking. No. I didn't tell him about Tyler and Tessa. Are you going to? I don't know. He wants to have dinner with me when he's recovered. He says he wants to make things right. Whatever that means. Tamara was quiet for a long moment. What do you want? I want to go back in time and never have met him. But since that's not possible, I want to protect Tyler and Tessa. They're happy. They're safe. They don't need the chaos of having Blake Morrison suddenly show up in their lives. But don't they deserve to know their father? He gave up that right when he divorced me for being supposedly barren and then had his lawyers threaten me. Janelle's voice was sharp with old pain. He made his choice 6 years ago. Janelle, I was there. I saw what he did to you. I held you while you cried. I helped you pack up your entire life and move across the country. I was in the delivery room when you gave birth because he wasn't there and should have been. Tamara reached across the table and took Janelle's hand. I hate him for what he did to you. But Tyler and Tessa aren't you. They're their own people. And someday they're going to ask about their father. What are you going to tell them? I'll tell them the truth. That their father loved his business and his mother's approval more than he loved me. And when they ask why you never told him about them? That was the question that kept Janelle up at night. How would she explain to her children that she had kept them secret from their father? How would she make them understand that it hadn't been about punishment, but about protection? I tried to tell him, Janelle said quietly. I called. I emailed. I tried to visit his office. He blocked me at every turn. So yes, I gave up. I decided to raise them alone. Maybe that was wrong. Maybe I should have tried harder. But I was 26, pregnant with twins, alone, and heartbroken. I did what I thought was best. I know you did. And you've been an amazing mother. Those kids are lucky to have you. Tamara squeezed her hand. I'm just saying maybe it's time to think about what happens next. Blake is back in your life, at least temporarily. At some point, you're going to have to decide whether to tell him the truth. I know. But not yet. Let me get through this dinner first. Let me see if he's actually changed or if he's still the same man who walked away from me when things got hard. They talked for a while longer, then Tamara headed home. Janelle checked on the children one more time before going to bed. Tyler was sprawled across his mattress in his red pajamas, one arm hanging off the side, mouth open in deep sleep. Tessa was curled up like a little ball, her favorite stuffed elephant clutched to her chest. Janelle stood in the doorway watching them breathe. Everything she had done, every sacrifice, every difficult choice had been for them. They were her purpose, her joy, her everything. Whatever happened with Blake, she would protect them. That was her job as their mother. The next morning, Janelle was finishing her rounds when her phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Dr. Brooks. Janelle, it's Blake. She stopped walking. How did you get this number? It's on my discharge paperwork. Listen, I'm being released tomorrow. The doctors say I'm healing well thanks to you. I know you said we could have dinner after I recovered. I was hoping we could set a date. Janelle leaned against the wall of the hospital corridor. You just had major heart surgery. You should be focusing on rest, not dinner dates. It's not a date. It's a conversation. Please, Janelle. One evening. That's all I'm asking. She closed her eyes, thinking about Tamara's words from last night. At some point she would have to face this head-on. Putting it off wouldn't make it easier. Fine. Saturday. 7 p.m. Pick a restaurant, somewhere quiet. And Blake? This is just dinner. A chance for you to say whatever you need to say. Don't expect anything more. I won't. Thank you. After they hung up, Janelle stood in the corridor for a long moment. In 3 days she would sit across from Blake Morrison and hear him out. In 3 days she might have to make the hardest decision of her life, whether or not to tell him about their children. She spent the rest of the week in a state of low-level anxiety. She worked long hours at the hospital, threw herself into planning Tyler's upcoming 6th birthday party, helped Tessa with her homework, and tried not to think about Saturday night. On Friday afternoon, Patricia Hughes stopped by Janelle's office. I hear you're having dinner with your ex-husband tomorrow. How do you? Janelle shook her head. Never mind. Hospital gossip travels faster than light. Patricia sat down in the visitor's chair. Are you ready for this? No. But I don't think I'll ever be ready. Have you decided what you're going to tell him? About Tyler and Tessa? No. Part of me thinks I should. They're his children. He has a right to know. But another part of me just wants to keep them safe and away from him. What do the twins know about their father? Janelle sighed. Not much. They've asked, of course. I told them their father and I weren't together anymore, that he lived far away. Tyler asked if he was dead, which broke my heart. Tessa asked if he didn't love her, which broke it even more. I've tried to be honest without giving them the full painful truth. Kids are resilient. They're also smart. If you do decide to tell Blake, the twins will handle it better than you think. I know. Janelle's voice caught. I just don't want them to feel rejected the way I felt rejected. Blake left me because he thought I couldn't give him children. How do I explain to Tyler and Tessa that they were the very thing he said he wanted, and yet he wasn't there for them? How do I make that make sense? Maybe you let Blake explain that himself. Maybe it's time to let him own his mistakes. Saturday arrived too quickly. Janelle spent the afternoon with Tyler and Tessa at the park, pushing them on swings and watching them climb on the jungle gym. They were so innocent, so happy. The thought of disrupting their world terrified her. Mommy, why are you so quiet today? Tessa asked as they walked home. Just thinking, baby. About what? About how lucky I am to have you and your brother. You're the best things that ever happened to me. Tyler grabbed her hand. You're the best thing that happened to us too, Mommy. You're the best mommy in the whole world. Janelle blinked back tears. How was she supposed to tell them that the father who had been absent their whole lives was suddenly back in the picture? That evening, she left the children with Tamara and drove to the restaurant Blake had chosen. It was a small Italian place in Ballard, cozy and quiet. He was already there when she arrived, sitting at a corner table wearing dark jeans and a maroon sweater. He still looked a bit thin from the surgery, but his color was better. He stood when he saw her. Janelle. You look beautiful. She had chosen a simple green dress, practical and modest. She hadn't dressed up for him. Thank you. How are you feeling? Better every day. Turns out having a skilled surgeon helps. He pulled out her chair, a gesture she remembered from their dating days. They ordered food neither of them was particularly hungry for. The conversation started awkwardly with long pauses and careful words. Blake told her about his recovery, about how his perspective on life had changed. Janelle told him about her work, keeping it vague, not mentioning anything personal. Then Blake set down his fork and looked at her directly. I need to tell you something. After you left, after our divorce, I was miserable. I threw myself into work because it was easier than admitting I had made a terrible mistake. My mother kept introducing me to women she deemed suitable. I went on dates. I even got engaged once about 2 years ago. Janelle felt a sharp pain in her chest but kept her face neutral. I see. It lasted 3 months. I broke it off because every time I looked at her, I thought about you. Every time she laughed, I wondered why it didn't sound like your laugh. Every time she talked about her day, I realized I didn't care the way I cared when you talked about yours. Blake. Let me finish. Please. He took a deep breath. I've spent 6 years regretting the worst decision of my life. I let my mother's opinions matter more than your feelings. I let some outdated idea about legacy destroy something real and precious. And I absolutely know that I have no right to ask you for anything. But I'm asking anyway. What are you asking for? A second chance. Not at our marriage. That's done and I understand why. But a chance to be part of your life again. As friends, if nothing else. I want to show you that I've changed. I want to prove that I can be the person I should have been 6 years ago. Janelle looked at this man who had once been her whole world and wondered if people really changed. Could Blake Morrison, who had been so easily swayed by his mother, who had valued business and legacy over love, actually become someone different? I need to tell you something, she heard herself say. The words came out before she could stop them. Something important. Something that changes everything. Blake leaned forward. Okay. Whatever it is, I'm listening. Janelle took a deep breath. This was it. The moment of truth. She opened her mouth to tell him about Tyler and Tessa, but before she could speak, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen. Tomorrow. Her sister never called during her nights off unless it was an emergency. I'm sorry, I have to take this. She answered the phone. Tomorrow, what's wrong? Don't panic, but we're at the hospital. Tyler fell off the couch and hit his head. He seems okay, but the ER doctor wants to run some tests just to be safe. Janelle was already standing, grabbing her purse. I'm on my way. Tell him mommy's coming. She looked at Blake, her mind racing. I have to go. Emergency. Is everything okay? I don't know. I'm sorry, I have to leave. She rushed out of the restaurant, leaving Blake sitting alone at the table, confused and concerned. All thoughts of confession flew from her mind. The only thing that mattered was getting to her son. The truth would have to wait. The hospital emergency room was bright and chaotic when Janelle arrived. She rushed to the check-in desk, her heart pounding. I'm Dr. Brooks. My son Tyler Brooks was brought in. Where is he? The receptionist checked her computer. Bay 7. Go right through. Janelle found Tyler sitting on an exam table with a small bandage on his forehead. Tessa was next to Tamara, her face tear-stained and worried. Tyler's eyes lit up when he saw his mother. Mommy? I'm okay. I was trying to build a flying machine with the couch cushions, but I fell. Janelle rushed to him and wrapped her arms around him carefully, checking him over with both a mother's concern and a doctor's eye. Let me see, baby. Does your head hurt? A little. But not too much. The doctor said I might have a concussion. The ER physician, Dr. Amanda Price, approached. Dr. Brooks. Tyler took a pretty good hit. No loss of consciousness, which is good. Pupils are equal and reactive. But given his age and the mechanism of injury, I'd like to keep him for observation overnight, just to be safe. Thank you. I appreciate the caution. Janelle turned to Tamara. What happened? He was playing, building something elaborate as usual. I was in the kitchen getting them snacks. I heard a crash and came running. He was on the floor crying. I'm so sorry, Janelle. I should have been watching more closely. This isn't your fault. Janelle hugged her sister. Kids get hurt. It happens. Tessa tugged on Janelle's dress. Is Tyler going to be okay? Janelle knelt down to her daughter's level. He's going to be just fine. He has to stay here tonight so the doctors can watch him, but he'll be home tomorrow. I promise. They admitted Tyler to the pediatric ward. Janelle stayed with him while Tamara took Tessa home. Tyler's energy returned quickly once the shock wore off, and he spent the evening telling his mother elaborate stories about his flying machine plans. Mommy, when I'm bigger, I'm going to invent things that help people. Like you fix hearts, I'll build machines that make life better. I think you'll do amazing things, buddy. You have such a creative mind. Around 9 p.m., after Tyler finally fell asleep, Janelle's phone buzzed. A text from Blake. I hope everything is okay. Let me know if there's anything I can do. She stared at the message for a long time. Blake didn't know that the emergency involved his son. He didn't know he had a son at all. She had been seconds away from telling him at dinner before Tamara's call interrupted. She typed back, thank you. Everything's fine. I'll call you tomorrow to reschedule. But even as she sent it, she knew fine was a lie. Nothing about this situation was fine. She sat in the uncomfortable hospital chair, watching Tyler sleep, and thought about all the choices that had led her here. The next morning, Tyler was discharged with instructions to take it easy for a few days. No climbing, no rough play, just rest. Janelle took the day off work to stay home with him and Tessa. Monday morning, she returned to the hospital for her regular rounds. She had just finished checking on a post-surgery patient when her assistant found her. Dr. Brooks, Mr. Morrison is here to see you. He's in your office. Janelle sighed. She had been avoiding Blake's calls all weekend. Tell him I'm busy. I tried. He said he'll wait as long as it takes. She found Blake sitting in her office, looking healthier than the last time she'd seen him. He stood when she entered. You've been avoiding me. I've been busy. I have patients who need me. I'm worried about you. You ran out of that restaurant like the building was on fire. What happened? Janelle closed her office door. Blake, this needs to stop. I agreed to one dinner. We didn't finish that dinner, but the intent is the same. I listened to what you had to say. Now it's time for us both to move on. But you were going to tell me something important. Right before your phone rang. What was it? It doesn't matter now. It matters to me. Blake moved closer. Janelle, please. I know I have no right to push, but I can see that something is weighing on you. Let me help. Let me be there for you the way I wasn't 6 years ago. Janelle felt exhaustion wash over her. She had barely slept all weekend between Tyler's accident and her own anxious thoughts. She sat down at her desk and put her head in her hands. You can't fix this, Blake. Try me. She looked up at him. He looked so earnest, so genuinely concerned. And suddenly she was tired of carrying this secret alone. The emergency Saturday night was my son. He fell and hit his head. He's fine now, but for a few hours I was terrified. Blake's expression shifted to concern. You have a son? I didn't know you had children. A son and a daughter. Twins. They're 5 years old. 5 years old? Blake repeated slowly. She could see him doing the math in his head. That means? Yes. I was pregnant when you divorced me. I tried to tell you. I called, I emailed, I tried to visit your office. You blocked me at every turn. Your lawyers sent me that cease and desist letter right when I was gathering the courage to tell you. So I left. I went to Boston, had the babies, and raised them on my own. The color drained from Blake's face. He sat down heavily in the chair across from her desk. You were pregnant. With my children. And I, oh God. Tyler looks just like you. Same nose, same smile. Tessa has your eyes. They're beautiful and smart and funny, and they're the best thing that ever happened to me. You kept them from me. His voice was barely a whisper. You made it clear you wanted nothing to do with me. What was I supposed to do? Force you to be a father when you had already shown me you'd choose your business and your mother over anything else? I would have. Blake stopped. No, you're right. 6 years ago I would have screwed this up. I would have let my mother interfere. I would have been a terrible father. That's why I didn't tell you. But I've changed. He looked at her desperately. I swear to you, Janelle, I'm not that man anymore. Please let me meet them. Let me be part of their lives. I'll do whatever you want, follow whatever rules you set. Just please don't keep me away from my children. Janelle had imagined this conversation 1,000 times. In some versions, Blake was angry. In others, he denied everything. She had never imagined this. Genuine remorse and a desperate plea. They don't know about you. I told them their father lives far away. They've asked questions, but I've kept it vague. What do I need to do? How do I fix this? I don't know if you can fix it, Blake. But. She took a deep breath. If you're serious about being in their lives, really serious, then we can start slowly. Very slowly. You can meet them as my colleague first. We don't tell them you're their father right away. We see how things go. I'll take anything. Any chance you give me, I'll take it. There are rules. You don't get to waltz in and disrupt their lives. You don't get to make promises you can't keep. You show up consistently or you don't show up at all. They've been through enough without having a father who disappoints them. I understand. I'll follow every rule. I promise. Janelle studied his face, looking for any sign of doubt or hesitation. But all she saw was sincerity and a desperate hope. Saturday. We're going to the park at 2 p.m. You can come. Bring a soccer ball. Tyler loves soccer. Saturday. 2 p.m. I'll be there. Blake stood up, then paused. Janelle, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness or your trust. But thank you for this chance. I won't mess it up. After he left, Janelle sat alone in her office, wondering if she had just made the best or worst decision of her life. She called Tamar. I told him. About Tyler and Tessa? Yes. He wants to meet them. I said he could come to the park on Saturday. How do you feel? Terrified. What if he hurts them? What if he's still the same person who walked away from me? Then you protect them like you always have. But Janelle, what if he has changed? What if he actually steps up and becomes the father they deserve? I don't dare hope for that. Hope is what got me hurt last time. Maybe. But hope is also what kept you going when you were alone and pregnant and scared. Hope is what made you the amazing doctor and mother you are today. Don't give up on hope yet. The rest of the week passed in a blur of anxiety and second-guessing. On Friday night, Janelle sat Tyler and Tessa down for a conversation. Tomorrow at the park we're going to meet someone. His name is Blake. He's someone Mommy used to know and he wants to meet you guys. Is he your boyfriend? Tessa asked with a giggle. No, sweetie. He's just a friend. An old friend. Does he like soccer? Tyler asked. I think he does. He's bringing a ball. That seemed to satisfy Tyler. Tessa was more interested in whether they could get ice cream after the park. Children's priorities were wonderfully simple. Saturday afternoon, Janelle dressed the twins in their favorite clothes. Tyler wore his red and green striped shirt. Tessa insisted on her blue dress with the stars. They walked to the park together, hand in hand. Blake was already there, sitting on a bench, nervously bouncing a black and white soccer ball. He stood when he saw them, and Janelle watched his face as he looked at Tyler and Tessa for the first time. His eyes filled with tears. He pressed his hand to his mouth, clearly overwhelmed. Tyler and Tessa, oblivious to the emotional significance of the moment, ran ahead to the playground. "That's them," Janelle said quietly. "Your son and daughter." "They're perfect," Blake whispered. "Janelle, they're absolutely perfect. Tyler is the one in the red and green. He's obsessed with building things. Tessa is in blue. She loves science and art and asking a million questions." Janelle took a deep breath. "Remember, we're taking this slow. They think you're just my friend." "I understand." Blake wiped his eyes and straightened his shoulders. "Okay. I can do this." They walked to the playground together. Tyler had already claimed the monkey bars while Tessa was examining flowers near the edge of the play area. "Tyler, Tessa," Janelle called. "Come meet my friend Blake." Tyler ran over, all energy and enthusiasm. "Hi. Do you really have a soccer ball?" "I do." Blake held it up. "Want to kick it around?" "Yes. Come on." Blake looked at Janelle and she nodded. He followed Tyler to an open grassy area. Within minutes, they were passing the ball back and forth, Tyler's laughter ringing across the park. Tessa approached more cautiously, staying close to Janelle. "He seems nice." "He is nice." "Does he know about my volcano project?" "Why don't you tell him?" Tessa walked over to where Blake and Tyler were playing. "Did you know volcanoes erupt because of magma and pressure?" Blake stopped kicking the ball and gave Tessa his full attention. "I did know that. Do you like science?" "I love science. I'm going to be a scientist when I grow up. Or maybe an artist. I haven't decided yet." "You can be both," Blake said seriously. "You can be anything you want." Janelle watched from the bench as Blake played with her children. His children. Their children. He was patient with Tessa's endless questions. He praised Tyler's soccer skills. He listened to them with genuine interest. After an hour, they sat on a picnic blanket Janelle had brought. The twins shared their snacks while Blake told them funny stories about building towers with his own brother when he was young. "Do you have kids?" Tyler asked suddenly. Blake glanced at Janelle, then back at Tyler. "Not yet. But I hope to someday." "You should. You're good at playing." "Thank you, buddy. That means a lot." As the afternoon wound down, Tyler asked, "Can Blake come to the park with us again?" Janelle's heart squeezed. This was exactly what she had been afraid of. The twins were already getting attached. "Maybe," she said carefully. "If everyone wants to." "I want to," Tessa said immediately. "Blake didn't laugh when I told him about my volcano. Most grown-ups just say, 'That's nice,' and stop listening." "I would love to come back," Blake said. "If your mom says it's okay." On the walk home, Tyler chattered non-stop about the soccer game while Tessa talked about how Blake had promised to help her learn about space. They didn't notice the tears on Janelle's face or the way her hands shook. That night, after the twins were asleep, Blake called. "Thank you," he said simply. "Thank you for letting me meet them. They're incredible, Janelle. You've done an amazing job raising them. They're good kids. They're more than good. They're everything." His voice broke. "I missed 5 years. 5 years of their lives. Their first steps, their first words, all of it." "I know. I'm sorry." "Don't apologize. This is my fault. All of it. But I swear to you I'm going to make up for it. However long it takes, I'm going to prove I can be the father they deserve." Janelle wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that people could change, that second chances were real, that love and family could overcome past mistakes. "We'll see," she said. "Actions matter more than words, Blake. Show up consistently. Be reliable. Don't make promises you can't keep." "I will. I promise." "Can I see them again?" "Next week?" "Yes." "But Blake, eventually we have to tell them the truth. They can't just think you're their mom's friend forever." "I know. When the time is right, we'll tell them together. Whenever you're ready." After they hung up, Janelle checked on the twins one more time. They were both sound asleep, peaceful and innocent. She had brought their father into their lives. Now she just had to hope she hadn't made a terrible mistake. Over the next 3 weeks, Blake became a regular part of their lives. Every weekend he joined them at the park, at museums, at the zoo. He learned Tyler's favorite sandwich, peanut butter and banana, and Tessa's favorite color, every shade of blue. He showed up on time, every time, never once canceling or arriving late. The twins adored him. Tyler called him Mr. Blake, and asked him 100 questions about business and buildings. Tessa showed him every drawing, every science experiment, every new thing she learned. Blake was patient and attentive and clearly falling in love with his children more each day. Janelle watched it happen with a mixture of joy and fear. Joy because Tyler and Tessa deserved a father who cared. Fear because she kept waiting for Blake to revert to his old self, to choose business over family, to disappoint them the way he had disappointed her. But he didn't. He rearranged his work schedule to accommodate their outings. He turned down business meetings that conflicted with their time together. When Tyler asked him to come to his soccer game, Blake showed up wearing a red and green scarf, cheering from the sidelines like he'd been doing it his whole life. On a Tuesday evening, 3 weeks after Blake met the twins, Janelle got a call from an unexpected source. "Dr. Brooks? This is Eleanor Morrison, Blake's mother. I was wondering if we could meet for coffee." Janelle's stomach tightened. Eleanor was the last person she wanted to see. "I'm not sure that's a good idea. Please. I know I have no right to ask, but there are things I need to say to you. Things I should have said 6 years ago." Against her better judgment, Janelle agreed. They met the next day at a quiet cafe in Capitol Hill. Eleanor looked older, more tired. Her perfectly styled hair had strands of gray, and her face had new lines around her eyes and mouth. "Thank you for coming," Eleanor said after they'd ordered. "I know you must hate me." "I don't hate you," Janelle said carefully. "But I don't have many positive feelings toward you either." "That's fair. More than fair." Eleanor wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. "Blake told me about the twins. Tyler and Tessa. My grandchildren." "He told you?" "Last week. He came to my house and laid it all out. Everything. How you were pregnant when he divorced you. How you tried to tell him and he pushed you away. How I poisoned our relationship with my obsession about heirs and legacy." Eleanor's voice broke. "Janelle, I destroyed my son's marriage. I destroyed your life. And worst of all, I kept him from his children for 5 years because of my selfishness and my narrow-minded views about what a family should be." Janelle didn't know what to say. She had never expected an apology from Eleanor Morrison. "I don't expect you to forgive me," Eleanor continued. "I don't deserve forgiveness. But I need you to know that I'm sorry. I'm so deeply, profoundly sorry for what I did. I let outdated ideas about bloodlines and legacy blind me to what actually mattered. Blake loved you. You loved him. That should have been enough." "But it wasn't enough," Janelle said quietly. "Not for you. Not for Blake. Blake was weak. I know he's told you that himself. He was weak and I took advantage of that weakness. I pushed him until he broke." Eleanor wiped her eyes. "But he's different now. I don't know if you've noticed, but he's not the same man who divorced you. That surgery, almost dying, it changed something in him. Or maybe it was realizing what he lost. Either way, he's better now. Why are you telling me this? Because I see the way he looks at you. I see the way he talks about those children. He loves them, Janelle. And I think he still loves you. But I understand if you can't forgive him. I understand if you want to keep your distance. I'm just asking that you let him be a father to Tyler and Tessa. Don't let my mistakes cost him his children." Janelle took a long drink of her coffee, buying time to process this conversation. "Eleanor, Blake is already part of their lives. He sees them every week. I haven't kept him away. But have you told them he's their father?" "Not yet. We're taking it slow. When you do tell them, they're going to have questions. About why he wasn't there before. About why you kept them apart." Eleanor leaned forward. "When those questions come, please tell them the truth. That it was my fault. That their father made mistakes, but he's trying to fix them now. Don't let my actions poison their relationship before it even really begins." After Eleanor left, Janelle sat in the cafe for a long time, thinking. She had never imagined Eleanor Morrison apologizing for anything. The woman who had once called her defective had just asked for forgiveness. That evening, Janelle called Patricia. "Can I ask you something? As a friend, not as a mentor?" "Of course. Do people really change? Or do they just pretend to be different for a while before going back to who they really are?" Patricia was quiet for a moment. "I think people can change, but it takes work. And pain. And the willingness to face their own mistakes." "Why are you asking?" Janelle told her about Blake, about the past 3 weeks, about Eleanor's apology. "I keep waiting for Blake to mess up, to prove that he's still the same man who walked away. But he hasn't. He's been consistent and reliable and genuinely good with Tyler and Tessa. So you're wondering if he's really changed or if he's just on his best behavior temporarily?" "Yes. And I'm wondering what happens if I let myself believe he's changed and then he reverts back. I can handle being hurt again. But I can't let Tyler and Tessa be hurt. Then set boundaries. Keep watching. But also, Janelle, give him room to prove himself. You can't protect the twins from every possible disappointment in life. Sometimes you have to take the risk and hope for the best. That weekend, Blake arrived for their usual park visit with something extra. A beautifully wrapped box for each twin. I hope it's okay, he said to Janelle nervously. I wanted to give them something. Tyler tore into his present first. Inside was an elaborate building set, one of the expensive architectural design kits that Janelle had seen him eyeing in stores but couldn't justify buying. Wow. Look, Mommy. It's the one I wanted. Tyler threw his arms around Blake. Thank you, Mr. Blake. Tessa opened hers more carefully. Inside was a telescope and a beginner's astronomy book. Now you can look at the stars yourself, Blake said, instead of just reading about them. Tessa's eyes filled with happy tears. She hugged Blake tightly. This is the best present ever. Later, after the twins had run off to play, Blake sat next to Janelle on their usual bench. I got something for you too. He handed her an envelope. Inside was a check for a substantial amount of money. This is 5 years of child support, Blake said. I calculated what I should have been paying if I'd known about them from the start. Plus the medical expenses you must have had. I know money doesn't make up for my absence, but it's a start. Janelle stared at the check. It was enough to pay off her student loans and still have money left over for the twins' college funds. I can't take this. Yes, you can. You raised our children alone. You worked and went to medical school and did everything yourself. This is the least I can do. Blake. Please. Let me help. Let me contribute. They're my children too, even if I missed the first 5 years. Let me be responsible for them now. Janelle thought about all the months she had struggled to pay rent and daycare. She thought about the nights she'd stayed up worrying about money. She thought about her daughter's advice, spoken with the wisdom of a 5-year-old. When someone offers kindness, we should say thank you. Okay, she said quietly. Thank you. This means more than you know. It's not nearly enough. But it's a start. Blake looked at the twins playing on the swings. Janelle, I need to ask you something. When are we going to tell them? That I'm their father? I've been thinking about that. Maybe soon. They clearly care about you. You've proven you're not going anywhere. What about you? Do you trust me enough to tell them? Janelle looked at this man who had been her greatest love and her deepest heartbreak. She saw the changes in him, the way he prioritized the twins over everything else, the way he showed up consistently and kept his promises. I'm starting to, she admitted. You've surprised me, Blake. I expected you to fail, but you haven't. I won't fail them. Or you. Not again. He reached for her hand, then stopped, letting his hand fall back to his lap. I know I destroyed what we had. I know you'll probably never feel the same way about me that you did when we were married. But I want you to know that I still love you. I never stopped. And if there's any chance, any possibility that you could forgive me and maybe, eventually we could try again, I would spend the rest of my life making you happy. Janelle's heart raced. Blake, I don't know if I can go there again. You hurt me so badly. I know. I'm not asking for an answer now. I'm just asking you to know how I feel. You're an incredible woman, an amazing mother, a brilliant surgeon. You're everything I was too stupid to appreciate 6 years ago. I won't push. But I needed you to know. Before Janelle could respond, Tyler and Tessa came running over. Mr. Blake, can we go get ice cream? Tessa asked. Can Mr. Blake come over for dinner? Tyler added. Mommy's making spaghetti. It's really good. Janelle looked at their hopeful faces, then at Blake's nervous expression. Sure. Blake can come to dinner. The twins cheered and ran ahead. Blake fell into step beside Janelle as they walked home. Thank you, he said softly. It's just spaghetti. It's more than spaghetti. It's you letting me into your home, into your life. I won't take that for granted. That evening, watching Blake help Tyler set the table while Tessa showed him her latest drawings, Janelle felt something shift in her chest. It felt dangerous, like standing on the edge of a cliff. It felt like hope. Maybe people could change. Maybe second chances were real. Maybe, just maybe, they could build something new from the broken pieces of the past. But she wasn't ready to admit that yet. Not out loud. Not even to herself. For now, she would take it one day at a time, watching and waiting, protecting her heart while letting Blake prove himself. One day at a time. 2 weeks later, on a warm Saturday afternoon, everything changed. Janelle had planned a simple day: morning at the farmer's market, lunch at home, then the twins' favorite activity at the Seattle Children's Museum. Blake had been invited, but a last-minute business meeting had come up. For the first time since meeting the twins, he had to cancel. "I'm so sorry," he'd said on the phone that morning, sounding genuinely distressed. "The merger I've been working on for months finally got approved, but the other CEO can only meet today. I tried to reschedule, but..." "Blake, it's okay. You have a business to run. We understand. But I promised Tyler I'd help him with his building project. And Tessa wanted to show me her new drawings. They'll understand. We'll see you next week." "Next week for sure. And Janelle? Can we maybe have that talk soon? About telling them?" "Yes, soon." After hanging up, Janelle explained to the twins that Blake couldn't make it. Tyler was disappointed but recovered quickly when Janelle promised they could get donuts at the farmer's market. Tessa accepted the news with her usual thoughtfulness. At the farmer's market, they sampled fresh berries, bought vegetables for the week, and watched a street performer juggle fire. The twins were in high spirits, wearing their brightest colors. Tyler in his red jacket and Tessa in her blue dress with yellow flowers. They returned home around 1 p.m., arms full of shopping bags. Janelle was preparing lunch when her phone rang. The hospital. "Dr. Brooks, I'm sorry to call on your day off, but we have an emergency situation. Car accident, multiple trauma victims, one needs immediate cardiac assessment. I know you're off, but I'll be there in 20 minutes. Janelle looked at the twins who were coloring at the kitchen table. She called Tamara, but her sister's phone went straight to voicemail. She tried their neighbor Mrs. Chen, but she wasn't home. "Okay guys," Janelle said, making a quick decision. "Mommy has to go to the hospital for a little bit. You're going to come with me and stay in the doctor's lounge. They have coloring books and tablets there. Can you be super good for Mommy?" "We'll be good," Tyler promised. "We can work on our homework." At the hospital, Janelle settled the twins in the family waiting area with strict instructions to stay put. She gave them snacks, set up a movie on her tablet, and told the nurse at the desk to check on them every few minutes. "I'll be in surgery bay 3, Janelle told the nurse. "If anything happens, anything at all, you come get me immediately. Don't worry, Dr. Brooks. We'll take care of them." The trauma case was worse than expected. What should have been a quick assessment turned into emergency surgery. 2 hours passed, then 3. Janelle was deep in the procedure, focused on repairing damaged cardiac tissue, when Tyler and Tessa got bored. They had finished their movie. They had colored. They had done their homework. Tyler looked at Tessa. "I'm hungry." "Me too. Mommy said there were vending machines." "Should we go look?" "Mommy said to stay here. We'll be quick. Just to the vending machines and back." They left the waiting area hand in hand, 5-year-olds on a mission. They found the vending machines 1 floor down, used the money Janelle had given them for emergencies, and got pretzels and juice boxes. On their way back, Tyler spotted something interesting. A door with a window showing a patient room. And in that room, sitting up in bed, was Mr. Blake. Blake had been readmitted the day before for a routine follow-up. His recovery was going well, but Janelle wanted him monitored overnight just to be safe. He was scheduled for discharge later that afternoon. "Look, it's Mr. Blake," Tyler said excitedly. "Mommy said he had a meeting," Tessa responded, confused. "Maybe his meeting is here at the hospital. Let's go say hi." They pushed open the door before any passing nurse could stop them. Blake looked up from the book he was reading and did a double take. "Tyler? Tessa? What are you guys doing here?" "Mommy had to do surgery, so we're waiting for her," Tyler explained, climbing onto the chair next to Blake's bed. "What are you doing here? Are you sick again?" "Just a checkup. Making sure my heart is all better." Blake set down his book. "Does your mom know you're walking around the hospital?" "We were just getting snacks," Tessa said, holding up her juice box. "We were going right back to the waiting room." "Well, since you're here, want to keep me company for a bit?" The twins needed no more encouragement. Tyler started telling Blake about their morning at the farmer's market while Tessa showed him a drawing she'd made of a volcano. They were so comfortable with him, so natural, that Blake felt his heart swell with love and longing. These were his children. His son and daughter. And they had no idea. Tyler noticed a framed photo on Blake's bedside table. "Who's that?" Blake picked up the photo. It was from his childhood. A young Blake with his father and older brother at a baseball game. "That's my dad and my brother Jonathan. This was taken a long time ago when I was about your age." "You have a brother?" Tyler's eyes went wide. "That's so cool. I only have Tessa. Jonathan's great. He lives in Portland now with his family. He has 2 kids, so you and Tessa have cousins." Blake stopped, realizing what he'd just said. Tessa cocked her head, a gesture so like Janelle that Blake's breath caught. We have cousins? I mean, well. Blake fumbled, then decided honesty was better than confusion. Tyler, Tessa, there's something I need to tell you. Something important. Are you dying? Tyler asked with the blunt concern of a child. No, buddy, I'm not dying. But, where's your mom right now? In Surgery Bay 3, Tyler said helpfully. The nurse told us. Blake pressed the call button. When the nurse arrived, he asked her to page Dr. Brooks immediately. Tell her Tyler and Tessa are in my room and we need her here. It's not an emergency, but it's important. 10 minutes later, Janelle burst through the door, still in her surgical scrubs, her face pale with panic. Tyler. Tessa. You're supposed to be in the waiting area. Sorry, Mommy, Tessa said. We saw Mr. Blake and wanted to say hi. Janelle looked at Blake, who gave her a significant look. She understood immediately, something had happened. Something that couldn't be undone. Dr. Brooks, could I speak with you privately for just a moment? Blake asked formally. Janelle nodded. Tyler, Tessa, stay right here. Don't move. I'll be just outside the door. In the hallway, Blake spoke quickly. They asked about the photo of my family. I started to explain and I realized they deserved to know. I almost told them Janelle. I stopped myself, but it's time. We can't keep this from them anymore. Janelle's hands were shaking. Now, here? I think so. They're comfortable. They're happy. And honestly, I can't keep lying to them. Even lies of omission are still lies. What if they're upset? What if they feel betrayed? Then we deal with it together. Blake took her hand. Please. Let's tell them. The right way together before they find out some other way and it's even worse. Janelle closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and nodded. Okay. Let's do this. They went back into the room. Tyler and Tessa were looking at Blake's photo album, giggling at pictures of young Blake with funny haircuts. Guys, come sit up here with me, Janelle said, patting Blake's hospital bed. The twins climbed up, one on each side of Blake. We need to talk to you about something important, Janelle began. Her voice was shaking. You know how you've been asking about your dad? About why he lives far away. Tyler nodded seriously. Tessa reached for Janelle's hand. Well, he doesn't actually live far away. He's been here in Seattle the whole time. Janelle's voice broke. The reason I never told you about him is because he and we had some problems before you were born. We weren't together anymore. I didn't know how to. What your mom is trying to say, Blake interrupted gently, is that I made some really big mistakes 6 years ago. I hurt your mom very badly. And because of that, I didn't know about you too. I didn't know I had a son and a daughter. Tyler looked confused. Tessa's eyes were getting wider. But I do know now, Blake continued. And I want you both to know something very important. You know how you've been calling me Mr. Blake? Well, my real name is Blake Morrison. And he took a shaky breath. And I'm your dad. Silence. Tyler and Tessa stared at him. Then Tyler said, You're our dad? For real? For real. So when we asked Mommy where our dad was, she didn't tell us it was you? Janelle jumped in. That's my fault, buddy. I should have told you sooner. I was scared. I didn't want you to get hurt if your dad wasn't ready to be a dad. But I am ready, Blake said firmly. I'm so ready. You two are the most amazing kids in the world. Tyler, you're smart and creative and kind. Tessa, you're curious and brave and so talented. I'm so proud to be your father. Tessa's eyes filled with tears. You're really our dad? I really am. So when Mommy said you lived far away, that was a lie? It was a complicated situation, Janelle said carefully. I thought I was protecting you. I was wrong. I should have been honest. Tyler was processing, his face serious. So all those times at the park, you were our dad the whole time? Yes. And you wanted to be with us? Even before you knew. I wanted to be with you from the moment I met you. Tyler looked at Janelle. Are you and Dad going to get married? We're not talking about that right now, Janelle said, her face flushing. But you were married before, right? That's what it means when people aren't together anymore. Yes, we were married. A long time ago. Tessa was still crying, but they weren't sad tears. Can we call you Dad instead of Mr. Blake? Blake's eyes filled with tears. I would really, really like that. Dad, Tyler tried the word out. Dad. That sounds good. Suddenly, both twins threw themselves at Blake, hugging him tightly. He wrapped his arms around them, his face buried in their hair, crying openly. I love you both so much, he whispered. I'm so sorry I wasn't there before. But I'm here now. I promise I'm here now. Janelle watched this scene, tears streaming down her own face. Her children had their father. After 5 years of being the only parent, of bearing every responsibility alone, she finally had someone to share this with. Tyler pulled back and looked at Blake seriously. Dad, if you and Mommy aren't together, where do you live? I have a house in Magnolia. It's big and has a yard and… Can we come over? Anytime you want. Anytime at all. Do we have to call you Dad all the time, or can we sometimes call you Mr. Blake when we're being silly? Tessa asked. Blake laughed through his tears. You can call me whatever you want, sweetheart. Just not late for dinner. Janelle sat down on the edge of the bed, suddenly exhausted. Blake reached out and squeezed her hand. Thank you, he mouthed. Over the next hour the twins asked 100 questions. Why hadn't Blake known about them? Why had Janelle kept them apart? Did Blake want them? Did he love them? Would he leave again? Blake answered every question with honesty and love. He explained that he had made mistakes but was trying to fix them now. He promised that he wasn't going anywhere. He told them they could ask him anything anytime and he would always tell them the truth. Finally, Janelle's pager went off. I have to finish my surgery, she said reluctantly. Go, Blake said. We'll be fine here. I'll take care of them. Are you sure? I'm their dad. It's time I started acting like it. As Janelle walked out, she heard Tyler ask, Dad, do you know how to play Minecraft? And Blake's response, no, but I'd love for you to teach me. When Janelle finished her surgery 2 hours later, she found all 3 of them in Blake's hospital bed. Tyler and Tessa had fallen asleep on either side of Blake, who had one arm around each of them. He was awake just watching them sleep, his face filled with wonder and love. They're exhausted from all the excitement, he whispered when he saw Janelle. I couldn't bear to move them. Janelle pulled up a chair and sat beside the bed. How do you feel? Like my whole life just started making sense. Like everything I've been through, all the mistakes and pain and regret, it was all leading to this moment. He looked at her. Thank you for raising them so well. Thank you for being strong when I wasn't. Thank you for giving me this chance. They're happy, Janelle said softly. That's all that matters. What about you? Are you happy? Janelle looked at her children, safe and loved, sleeping peacefully beside their father. I'm getting there. Blake smiled. That's all I can ask for. And for now it was enough. Sunday morning brought a new challenge, explaining to the world that Blake Morrison, tech billionaire, had 2 5-year-old children he hadn't known about. But more immediately, it brought the challenge of explaining to Blake's mother that she had grandchildren. Janelle woke to find 14 missed calls from Blake and 1 text. My mother knows. She saw a photo on social media. Can we talk? Apparently, one of the nurses had taken a picture of Blake with the twins yesterday and posted it with the caption, Sweet moment with Mr. Morrison and his friends' adorable kids. Someone had recognized the children from Janelle's social media. Someone else had done the math. By morning, the story was spreading through hospital gossip channels and would hit the press by afternoon. Janelle called Blake immediately. Tell me everything. My mother called at 6 a.m. crying. Someone sent her the photo. She put it together. 5-year-old twins, your children, my face and Tyler's features. She wants to meet them. Today. Blake, I don't think. I know she's the last person you want around Tyler and Tessa. I know she contributed to everything that went wrong between us. But she's changed too, Janelle. And they're her grandchildren. She has a right to meet them. Janelle wanted to argue, but she thought about her own parents who had passed away when she was in college. Tyler and Tessa didn't have any grandparents. Maybe they deserved the chance to have one, even if that one was Eleanor Morrison. Fine. But I'm there the whole time. And if she says one word, one single word, that upsets them, she's out. Agreed. They arranged to meet at Blake's house that afternoon. Janelle had never been to his new home, the one he'd bought after their divorce. It was in Magnolia, overlooking the water, with a sprawling yard and enough space for a family of 10. Tyler and Tessa were excited and nervous. They wore their best clothes. Tyler in a green shirt and navy pants, Tessa in a red and blue dress that Janelle had bought for special occasions. Is Grandma going to like us? Tessa asked in the car. She's going to love you, Janelle assured her, hoping it was true. Blake greeted them at the door, then led them to the living room where Eleanor was waiting. She stood when they entered, her hands clasped in front of her, her face anxious and hopeful. Tyler, Tessa, this is your grandmother, Eleanor, Blake said gently. Eleanor took a tentative step forward, then stopped. Hello. I'm so happy to meet you. Tessa, always the bolder of the two, walked right up to Eleanor and looked at her critically. You're really our grandma? I am. If you'll have me. Did you know about us? No, sweetheart. I didn't. But I wish I had. I missed so much. Tyler joined his sister. Grandma, do you like building things? I'm really good at building. I don't know much about building, but I'd love to learn from you. Something in Eleanor's voice, genuine and humble, must have convinced the twins. Tyler took her hand. Come on, I'll show you my Lego creations. I brought some in my backpack. For the next hour, Janelle and Blake watched Eleanor interact with the twins. She sat on the floor with Tyler, helping him build towers. She listened intently as Tessa explained her volcano project. She asked questions and laughed at their jokes and looked at them with unmistakable love. At one point, Eleanor looked at Janelle with tears in her eyes. Thank you. Thank you for raising such wonderful children. Janelle just nodded, not quite ready to forgive, but willing to let Eleanor try to make amends. Later, while the twins explored Blake's extensive backyard, the three adults sat in the living room. Eleanor looked at both of them. I need to say something. To both of you. She took a shaky breath. I destroyed your marriage. I let my obsession with legacy and bloodline poison something beautiful. Blake, you were happy with Janelle. Truly happy. And I couldn't stand it because she didn't fit my narrow, ridiculous vision of what a Morrison wife should be. Mother. Blake started. Let me finish. I'm not looking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you both to know that I will spend the rest of my life making this up to Tyler and Tessa. They will never doubt that they're loved. They will never feel like they're not good enough. I will be the grandmother they deserve, even if I wasn't the mother you deserved, Blake. Thank you, Janelle said quietly. That means something. After Eleanor left, Blake showed the twins their new rooms. He had prepared spaces for both of them. Tyler's room had shelves for building supplies and a huge work table. Tessa's room had a telescope by the window, a microscope on the desk, and walls painted with constellations. This is ours. Tyler asked in awe. This is yours, for whenever you want to stay over. Which I hope is a lot. That evening, as Janelle was getting ready to take the twins home, Tessa asked the question Janelle had been dreading. Mommy, are you and Dad going to get married again? Blake looked at Janelle. Janelle looked at the floor. The twins waited. That's complicated, sweetie, Janelle said. Why? Tyler asked. You're friends now. You were married before. You have us together. Why can't you be married? Because getting married is a big decision, Janelle explained. It means more than just being friends or being parents together. It means being in love, Tessa said matter-of-factly. Like in the movies? Does Dad love you? Blake didn't hesitate. Yes, very much. Do you love Dad? Tyler asked Janelle. The question hung in the air. Janelle looked at Blake, really looked at him. Over the past 2 months, she had watched him transform from the man who broke her heart into someone new. Someone present and dedicated and genuinely trying. Did she love him? The old her, the one from 6 years ago, had never stopped loving him. But she had buried that love under layers of hurt and anger and self-protection. I care about your dad very much, she said carefully. That's not the same as love, Tessa observed. You're right. It's not. Janelle took a deep breath. The truth is, I don't know yet. Love takes time. Trust takes time. Your dad hurt me very badly once, and I need to be sure that won't happen again before I can let myself love him the way I used to. Blake spoke up. And that's fair. Your mom is being smart and careful, which is what I love about her. She's protecting herself and protecting you. That's what good parents do. But you want to marry her? Tyler asked. More than anything in the world. But only when she's ready. Only when she's sure. The twins seemed to accept this. As Janelle buckled them into her car, Tessa asked one more question. Mommy, if you decide you do love Dad again, will you tell us? I promise. Good. Because I think you should marry him. He's really nice and he makes good pancakes. Janelle laughed despite herself. High praise indeed. On the drive home, she thought about Blake's words, more than anything in the world. 6 years ago, he had said similar words about other things. Business. Legacy. His mother's approval. But now those words were about her. And about being a family. Maybe people could change. Maybe second chances were real. Maybe love could survive being broken and come back stronger. She wasn't ready to say it out loud yet. But for the first time in 6 years, Janelle let herself imagine a future where Blake Morrison was part of her life again. Not as an ex-husband or an obligation, but as a partner. As someone she could count on. The thought scared her. But it also, just a little bit, filled her with hope. 3 months passed and life settled into a new rhythm. Blake had partial custody now, officially documented through lawyers. The twins spent every other weekend at his house and one evening per week. He never missed a pickup. He never canceled plans. He showed up to every soccer game, every school event, every moment he was invited to. Janelle watched him prove himself day after day, week after week. She watched him handle tantrums with patience. She watched him stay up late helping Tyler with math homework. She watched him sit through Tessa's lengthy explanations of photosynthesis without his eyes glazing over. And slowly, carefully, she felt the walls around her heart beginning to crumble. It was a cold December evening when everything changed. Blake had the twins for the weekend, and Janelle found herself with rare free time. She was reading a book when her phone rang. "Janelle, I need your help." Blake's voice was strained. "Tessa's running a high fever. I've given her medicine, but she's saying her stomach hurts badly. I think it might be her appendix." Janelle was out the door in seconds. She arrived at Blake's house to find him pacing in the living room, Tessa curled up on the couch, and Tyler watching everything with worried eyes. One look at Tessa and Janelle knew Blake was right. "We need to get her to the hospital. Now." Blake scooped Tessa up while Janelle grabbed Tyler. At the emergency room, the diagnosis was confirmed: acute appendicitis. Tessa needed immediate surgery. "I want Mommy to do it," Tessa said weakly. "Baby, I'm a heart surgeon, not a general surgeon. Dr. Williams is going to take great care of you. But I want you. I'll be right there the whole time. Right outside the operating room. The second you wake up, I'll be the first face you see." The surgery took 2 hours. Janelle, Blake, and Tyler waited together, Tyler curled up in Blake's lap, Blake holding Janelle's hand tightly. No one commented on the hand-holding. It just felt natural. When Dr. Williams emerged with good news, they all cried with relief. Tessa would be fine. She'd need a few days in the hospital and a few weeks of recovery at home, but she was okay. That night, while Tessa slept in her hospital room and Tyler dozed in the chair beside her bed, Janelle and Blake stepped into the hallway for air. "I was terrified," Blake admitted. "When I saw how much pain she was in, I felt so helpless." Welcome to parenthood. That feeling never goes away. How did you do this alone? For 5 years? How did you handle the fear and the worry and the responsibility all by yourself? "I didn't have a choice. You do what you have to do for your children." Blake turned to face her fully. "But you shouldn't have had to do it alone. That's on me. All those years you spent worrying and working and sacrificing, you should have had someone beside you. I should have been beside you. Blake, we've been through this." "I know. And I know you're not ready. But Janelle, I can't keep waiting in silence. I need you to know that I love you. I love you more than I did 6 years ago because now I understand what I almost lost. I love you because you're strong and brilliant and the best mother our children could have. I love you because you gave me a second chance when you had every reason not to." Blake. "I'm not asking you to say it back. I'm not asking you to marry me or even to date me. I'm just asking you to know how I feel. And to know that whenever you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll be here. Waiting. Hoping." Janelle felt tears on her cheeks. "You really have changed, haven't you?" "I hope so. I've tried. Every day, I try to be the man you and Tyler and Tessa deserve." She reached up and touched his face, a gesture she hadn't allowed herself in 6 years. "You are. You're exactly that man." "Does that mean?" "It means I'm not afraid anymore." She smiled through her tears. "It means I love you too. I think I never stopped even when I hated you. Even when I was hurt and angry and alone, part of me still loved you. And now, watching you be the father our children need, watching you show up day after day, I love you more." Blake pulled her into his arms, holding her like she was the most precious thing in the world. They stood in that hospital hallway holding each other, crying and laughing at the same time. "Can I kiss you?" he whispered. "You'd better." The kiss was gentle and sweet and full of promise. It tasted like second chances and hope and coming home after a long journey. When they finally pulled apart, Blake rested his forehead against hers. "Marry me." Janelle laughed. "That's the worst proposal ever. We're in a hospital hallway. I'm wearing 2-day-old clothes. And we just got back together 5 minutes ago. I don't care. I've wasted too much time already. Marry me, Janelle. Let me spend the rest of my life making you happy. Let me be your husband and partner and best friend. Let me be there for every moment, good and bad. Just marry me." "You're serious?" "I've never been more serious about anything." Janelle thought about Tyler and Tessa, sleeping in the hospital room. She thought about how hard she'd worked to build a life without Blake. But she also thought about how much richer that life had become with him back in it. Okay. Yes. I'll marry you, Blake Morrison. But we're doing this right. A proper engagement. Time for the twins to adjust. And a small wedding, nothing fancy. Anything you want. Everything you want. As long as you're mine. And you're mine. Always have been. I was just too stupid to realize it. They kissed again, longer this time, making up for 6 years of lost moments. From inside the hospital room, they heard Tyler's sleepy voice. Are mommy and dad kissing? Gross. They both laughed and went back inside. Tyler was awake but Tessa was still sleeping. Blake picked up Tyler, who was getting too big to be carried but accepted it anyway. Tyler, your mom and I have something to tell you. You're getting married? How did you know? Because you were kissing and you both look happy. Plus, Tessa and I have been wishing for it every night before bed. You have? Yeah. We want to be a real family. With a mom and a dad who live together and have dinner together and do stuff together. Janelle's heart melted. We are a real family, buddy. We always have been. But yes, Dad and I are getting married. Are you okay with that? Are you kidding? This is the best news ever. Wait until Tessa wakes up. She's going to be so excited. Tyler paused. Can I be in the wedding? You and Tessa can both be in the wedding. Whatever role you want. I want to carry the rings. Tessa will want to throw flowers. Then that's exactly what you'll do. Tessa woke up a few hours later, groggy from anesthesia but aware enough to understand when they told her the news. Her reaction was to start crying happy tears while asking if they could get a puppy now that they were going to be a real family. We'll talk about the puppy, Blake said with a laugh. The engagement was announced quietly, just family and close friends at first. Eleanor cried with joy and immediately started planning a wedding, which Janelle had to gently shut down. Patricia Hughes sent a text that simply said, I told you people could change. Proud of you both. Tamara's reaction was more complicated. She hugged Janelle but also pulled her aside. Are you sure? Really sure? Because I remember what he did to you. I remember picking up the pieces. I'm sure. He's not the same person, Tam. And neither am I. We've both grown. We've both learned. And most importantly, I don't need him anymore. I want him. There's a difference. As long as you're happy. I am. For the first time in a long time, I really am. They set a wedding date for spring, giving them 6 months to plan and to continue building their relationship on solid ground. Blake sold his house in Magnolia and moved into a new place, a beautiful home in Laurelhurst with enough space for all of them but neutral enough that it didn't belong to either Blake's past or Janelle's. On a sunny Saturday in March, they all moved in together. Tyler and Tessa each had their own rooms, decorated exactly how they wanted. Blake's office was on the first floor. Janelle had a study for her medical research. The kitchen was huge, perfect for family dinners. That first night after the twins were asleep, Blake and Janelle stood on the back deck, looking at the stars. I never thought I'd have this, Blake said quietly. After I lost you, I thought I'd lost my chance at having a real family. At being truly happy. Life has a funny way of giving second chances to people who earn them. I'm going to spend every day earning this. Earning you. Earning their trust. You already have. Janelle leaned into him. Blake, stop trying to make up for the past. The past is done. What matters is now. And right now we're together. We're happy. We're a family. We're a family, he repeated like he couldn't quite believe it. The wedding took place on a warm April day in a small garden venue. Only 50 guests, just family and close friends. Tyler wore a tiny suit and carried the rings with the seriousness of someone carrying the crown jewels. Tessa wore a blue dress covered in stars and threw flower petals with enthusiastic abandon. Eleanor sat in the front row, openly crying. Tamara was Janelle's maid of honor. Patricia Hughes gave a short reading about love and second chances. When Blake and Janelle exchanged vows, they promised not just to love each other, but to choose each other every day. To communicate when things got hard. To never let pride or fear come between them. I promise to be the partner you deserve, Blake said. The father our children need. The man I should have been 6 years ago. I promise to trust you, Janelle said. To let you in even when I'm scared. To build this life with you, day by day, moment by moment. When they kissed, Tyler and Tessa cheered louder than anyone. The reception was filled with laughter and dancing and joy. Blake danced with both twins, spinning Tessa until she was dizzy and teaching Tyler the basics of a waltz. Later, during the father-daughter dance, Blake held Tessa close and whispered, I'm so lucky to be your dad. I'm lucky too, Tessa whispered back. I have the best dad in the world. And the best mom. And the best brother. We're the luckiest family ever. And she was right. They were. Months turned into years. Tyler and Tessa grew. Blake's business continued to thrive, but he made sure to leave work at work, to prioritize family dinners and bedtime stories and soccer games. Janelle remained one of the top heart surgeons in the country, but she also made time for family vacations and lazy Sunday mornings. They had another baby, a little girl named Hope, who had Janelle's smile and Blake's determination. Tyler and Tessa were amazing big siblings, doting and protective. Eleanor became an active grandmother, showing up for birthdays and school plays, never overstepping but always present. She and Janelle would never be best friends, but they found a mutual respect built on their shared love for the children. On their 5th wedding anniversary, Blake surprised Janelle with a trip back to the Italian restaurant where they'd had their interrupted dinner, the night that had started everything. "I never did get to finish my proposal that night," Blake said as they sat at the same corner table. "You proposed in a hospital hallway. It doesn't get more romantic than that," Janelle teased. "Still, I want to do it right." Blake pulled out a small box and got down on one knee right there in the restaurant just like he had 10 years earlier. "Janelle Brooks Morrison, will you marry me? Again and again, every day for the rest of our lives." Janelle laughed through happy tears. "I think I already married you, but yes. Every day. For the rest of our lives." They kissed and the restaurant's other patrons applauded. It was cheesy and over the top and absolutely perfect. That night, lying in bed, Blake held Janelle close. "Do you ever think about how different things could have been? If I hadn't needed that surgery? If you hadn't been the doctor assigned to my case?" "Sometimes. But I think we would have found our way back to each other eventually. Some things are just meant to be. Like us. Like us. Like our family. Like this whole beautiful, messy, perfect life we've built. I love you, Dr. Morrison. I love you too, Mr. Morrison." In the next room, Tyler was already asleep, dreaming of the architectural firm he'd one day run. Down the hall, Tessa was probably still awake, reading about space exploration by flashlight. In the nursery, Hope slept peacefully, unaware of the complicated history that had brought her parents back together. They were a family built from broken pieces, held together by love and second chances and the determination to do better. They weren't perfect, but they were perfectly theirs. And that was more than enough. It was everything. As you've watched Janelle and Blake's journey unfold from heartbreak to healing, from secrets to truth, and from pain to happiness, I hope you've been inspired by the power of second chances. Life rarely goes according to plan, but sometimes the detours lead us exactly where we need to be. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to read more stories about love, family, and finding your way back to what matters most. And tell me in the comments, do you believe people can truly change? Have you ever given someone a second chance? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for joining this family on their journey to happiness.